Hello, welcome to part 2 of our Lightning Feather Poncho Crochet Along. Thank you for joining me. I'm Susan Kennedy of Pretty Peaceful. And part 2 today, we are going to finish the front of the poncho. After part 1, we have our starting rows here, the first section. And these are all just plain double crochet rows. If you're making the extra small to medium size, you should have 87 stitches and 8 rows for part 1. If you're making the large to extra large size, you should have 103 stitches and 10 rows. If you're making the 2x to 3x size, you should have 115 stitches and 12 rows. And finally, if you're making the 4x to 5x size, you will have 127 stitches and 13 rows. So now we're going to start the color work section. And we have 13 kind of unique rows of color work, and then we make the mirror image of that. And then we're going to add this same section at the end. The poncho rectangle is symmetrical from top to bottom. So we're also going to finish, after the color work rows, we're going to add this same section again. So before we start our color work, we want to kind of get ready for that by separating our yarn into enough balls so that we can work each little section of color from its own ball. So your main color, and I'm using Blueprint colorway of Lion Brand Pima Cotton here for my main color. You need 6 little balls of yarn because we have 6 separate sections of color along the row. So the one that's already attached to your project, that counts as 1. And I like to just work from the skeins if I have them. I don't like to cut the yarn up into a bunch of balls, but sometimes you have to. You'll also need 6 balls of your contrast color 1. And I like to use the darkest color for contrast color 1. In the chart on the pattern PDF, it's that darkest kind of black color here. I think it shows up as brown on the color PDF. So 6 balls of your main color, 6 balls of contrast color 1, 5 balls of contrast color 2. I'm using this spice color for my contrast color 2. This one's called Dragonfly, I think. And then you need 4 balls each of contrast colors 3 and 4. Overall total, you need about half a skein of Pima Cotton of each contrast color. So let me see how many yards that is. You need about 93 yards or 85 meters of each of the 4 contrast colors. So you can use up very tiny little scrap balls like this because we're working in sections of 3 stitches. So each little scrap only has to cover 3 stitches. You can carry your yarn up a row so you don't have a bunch of ends to weave in. I'll show you how to do that. So that's how to get ready. As far as how to keep these all from tangling, I'll show you as we go. But I basically like to line up the colors, add the colors as you need them and keep them in line. And then when you turn your work, you turn it right to left the first time after the first row, and then leave all the balls of yarn in front of you. And then when you finish the next row, you're going to turn it back left to right, kind of untwist those yarns. So I'll show you how when we get to that part. So we're going to start with color work row 1. For this particular one, I am making the smallest size, the extra small to medium. And so that means I'm going to work 27 stitches of main color. Double crochet stitches. We're going to start just like we started all the other rows with either a chain 3 or I prefer the chainless standing or chainless starting double crochet stitch, which I'll show you here. Totally optional. You can just chain 3 or just however you like to start a double crochet row, do that. So I have 1 stitch. For the extra small or medium, we're going to have 27 stitches total, including that first one. For the medium to large size, you'll work, the large to extra large size, you'll work 35 stitches. For the 2x to 3x size, you will work 41 stitches, and for the 4X to 5X size, you'll work 47 stitches. And then after that, the colorwork motif in the middle is the same for all the sizes. The only thing that differs is how many stitches you have on each side of the motif. The motif itself is the same size, same number of stitches, same number of rows for all of the sizes, just because the math on making the motif unique for each size is just a little too complicated. So I hope you have fun with this color work. Don't let it make you nervous. You know, I think in every color work project we get to a point, we all get to a point where we get a bit of a tangle, and you know what, it's okay. Just take the time to untangle it. And the good thing about this one is you do, we're gonna use this for a little bit and then we get to cut it off. So we don't have all these balls hanging off of the poncho the whole time. So I'm gonna count to see how many stitches I have here so far. I'm trying to work 27 for the extra small to medium size. Okay, that's 24, 25, 26, and this would be 27. Now we're not gonna finish that stitch. This is how we're going to add our first color, which is going to be contrast color 1. For me, I'm going to use this dark dragonfly color. And I'm going to kind of drop the ball of yarn I was using to the right side. Kind of start a little row of balls over here. I don't know if you can quite see my little row of balls. I'm going to start lining them up over here and keeping them in order as I add them. So I'm going to add this little bit of dragonfly, this little ball. I'm going to yarn over with the new contrast color 1 to finish the last main color double crochet there. And you can kind of give a gentle tug, but don't pull crazy tight, or it pulls your double crochet stitches over a little bit. Now we're going to work 3 double crochet stitches in this contrast color 1. I'm going to crochet over my edge, over my yarn end, just because for me that's easier. So 1, 2, there's my 3rd stitch in contrast color 1, and I'm not going to finish it yet because then we're going to put that ball to the side in the line and grab our next color, which is contrast color 2. For me, that'll be Spice here, my next darkest color. And see, I have a little knot on the end. I'm going to snip here. We'll add our contrast color 2. Just yarn over with that contrast color 2 to finish that last stitch of contrast color 1. And we're going to do the same thing, work 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Oh, but we're not going to finish that 3rd one. I almost did. Put the yarn over in its little row, and we're going to pick up the next color, which is contrast color 3. For me, I'm using this color called Mineral Yellow of Lion Brand Pima Cotton. The spice and the mineral yellow together, this is very Southwestern to me. You know, living out here in the Southwest, I see these colors all the time. The rocks and dried grass kind of stuff. It's really beautiful. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna work 3 double crochet stitches. I'm working over my tail, and I'm leaving about 6 inches to weave in later. I'm not particularly good at weaving in ends, so I like to give myself a little extra leeway. So we're gonna work 3 stitches, but wait to finish that last one. Move the ball yarn over into the line, and we're gonna pick up our next contrast color, contrast color 4, and I'm using this color called Vintage, kind of a ecru white color. And same thing, we're gonna yarn over with this new color to finish the last stitch of the old color and work 3 double crochet stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, put that little guy over with his friends. Now we're gonna move on to the next color. We have 9 stitches of MC, main color. So I'm gonna grab a ball of MC here, add it to the line. And I'm going to yarn over with this main color to finish the last stitch of CC4 there. And I usually like to use the lightest color for CC4. I love a good ombre effect. So we're going to work 9 stitches of main color. And the motif here is symmetrical, both left to right and upside down. So if you're left-handed, you can still work from the same chart that's in the pattern PDF, which you can download for free on Ravelry and Bookmarked Hub. I'll put it in my Pretty People Facebook group. If you came from there, hi, welcome. If you're not in the group yet, please join us. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8. I have one more main color stitch here to get to 9. Now we're going to move that ball aside and basically just mirror image back out what we did here. So we're going to do 3 stitches of CC4, 3 stitches of CC3, 3 stitches of CC2, 3 stitches of CC1, and then we're going to finish the row with the same number of stitches we started with, just all main color stitches. Okay, so I'm going to add my next color, which is going to be CC4 again. I have a knot on the end, I'm going to give it a little trim. So I'm going to add 3 contrast color 4 stitches. Just the opposite mirror image of what we just did in the beginning of the row. So I'm going to work my 3 stitches, put the little ball, didn't quite finish that, I still have 2 loops on the hook. And we're going to go back out in the little rainbow. I'm going to attach CC3 and work 3 stitches. My kids are being a little rowdy up there. I told them, like, be quiet for a few minutes so I can make a video, but isn't there anything better than just a kid laughing? I hope you don't mind. So now let's add our next picture, our next color here, CC2, and we're going to work 3 stitches of CC2, my spice color. And I'm going to wait to finish that until I add the last ball of yarn here, which is CC1, contrast color 1. And I'm going to yarn over that and then work 3 stitches. So we got a lot of balls of yarn hanging off our project right now. Try not to panic. We're going to keep them all on the line. And sometimes it's nice to put these in a long silver tray. I'll try to show you that in one of the other videos if I can. Or a little shoebox, something like that. Just keep them all together so they're not rolling all on the ground or rolling all over the table. And I think it is nice to work this on a little coffee table. I'm working on my coffee table right now, and I think it's pretty comfortable. It does help keep the yarns in line. So to finish the row, we are going to add in our main color again. That's the last new ball to add for this row. And we're just going to crochet out till we get to the end, double crochet stitches. So if you're making the extra small to medium size, you'll work 27 stitches. If you are making the large to extra large size, you will work 35 stitches. If you're making the 2x to 3x size, you will work 47 stitches. Did I say that right? 41 stitches. And if you're making the 4x to 5x size, you will work 47 stitches. So the same number of stitches that started the row over here. You're going to work that at the end. Mirror image all the way back out to the end of the row. So really the key to keeping these yarns from tangling constantly is keep them in line, keep them in a box, put them in a basket, put them on a tray, even just line them up. Sometimes I'll have like one down by my feet, one next to me on the couch, one on top of one leg, one between between my legs. It just kind of physically separate them out. But really the key is how you turn your work at the end of each row. If you turn your work the same way, like keep flipping it the same way after each row, then your yarns are going to get twisted around each other. So we're going to we just reverse which way we turn the work. We're going to turn left to right once, and then we'll turn kind of back the other way. So I'm going to drop my yarn tail that I've been crocheting over. I think I've caught enough stitches there. And get to the end of the row, and I'll show you what I mean about turning the work. And rows 2 through 13 of the color work rows, they're all kind of pretty much be a variation of this, of we're just working small sections of 3 double crochets at a time. I think we do work 6, main color crochets and spots. It's not always 3, like we had 9 here in the middle. But all the color work little blocks are going to be 3 stitches at once. So I'm going to zoom out just for a second here and show you how I'm going to turn my work. So we're going to give everything a little slack here, push all the balls back, unwind them a bit if you feel like you need to. And I'm going to take the edge of my work and I'm going to flip the left edge over to the right. So what looks like happened here is our yarn tangled, but that's okay. We're going to work back down the row, and then when we finish the row, we're going to flip back the other way and the yarns untangle. So they only look like they're tangling for a minute. Don't touch them, just leave them there. Trust the process on this one. And just turn it the opposite way the next time and you'll get right where you need to be with not too many tangles. Usually whenever I pick up the project for the day or I put it away for the day, I do have to do some untangling. So now let's start row 2 of the color work section. If you are making the extra small to small size, we're going to work 30 stitches of main color. So we're going to crochet over the top of these first contrast color 1 stitches here for each size. So that's going to take 30 stitches for the extra small to medium. We're going to work 38 stitches for the large to extra large, 44 stitches for the 2x to 3x size, or 50 stitches for the 4x to 5x size. Sometimes you gotta give the balls a little push back if they start creeping up on you. Okay, also I want to mention when you get to the junction between your last stitch of one color and the next stitch of the other color, sometimes it can be hard to see that last stitch and you don't want to miss anything. So make sure you count your stitches and be sure sometimes when you're changing colors, things get tugged a little tight, at least in my case. And you might have to really look for that stitch. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit and show you how I'm going to carry the yarn over so I don't have to cut again, because I've made 27 stitches here for my extra small to medium size. And I'm going to pull this contrast color 1 yarn up and lay it on top of the row here and crochet over it, and then pick it up right here when I get to this next little section. So I'm going to crochet over it and hold it just on top of that row and work those last 3 main color stitches here. And I'm not going to finish the last stitch just yet. I'm going to yarn over with this contrast color 1 that I just carried over. So drop that main color yarn, yarn over with the contrast color 1 yarn. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to carry this contrast color 2 yarn over so we can use it. We're just kind of staggering the color pattern here. So I'm going to pull that contrast color 2 yarn up and lay it on top of the row and just catch it as I make my 3 double crochet stitches in the contrast color yarn. And here's the 3rd stitch, so I'm going to drop contrast color 1 and pick up contrast color 2 to finish that last stitch. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to carry this contrast color 3 yarn by laying it on top of the stitches and working 3 double crochet stitches in contrast color 2. Then I'm going to drop that contrast color 2 and pick up contrast color 3 to finish that last stitch, last yarn over there. And one more time, I'm going to carry this contrast color 4 yarn over 3 stitches by just crocheting over it as if it wasn't there. I'm going to work 3 contrast color 3 stitches here, and then I'm going to pick up that contrast color 4 to finish that. And now I'm going to carry the main color yarn over 3 stitches by crocheting over it. I like to kind of give it a little tug here, smooth it out. Work 3 contrast color 4 stitches. Okay. Give those balls a little push back if you need to. Now I'm going to pick up the main color yarn I just carried over and work 3 stitches. And then we're just going to mirror image the beginning of the row to finish the end of the row. So I've got 3 main color stitches. I drop the main color. And now I'm going to carry this yarn over kind of the other way because I need to pull this contrast color 4 yarn over here to where I need it. So I'm just going to give it a tiny amount of slack and just pull it over like that and crochet over it. I've dropped the main color. I've picked up my contrast color here. Sometimes you do have to kind of reach back and give that main color a tug so it's not making huge stitches. So now we just have to catch this extra carried yarn over, work 3 contrast color 4 stitches here. And now I'm going to do the same thing, carry this yarn over, my contrast color 3 yarn over. And I'll show you one little trick at this transition that I like to do when you're carrying yarn. You can kind of see here I have this extra little kind of tag of contrast color 4 yarn here. So for the first stitch I'm going to go into, I'm going to kind of push that over before I stick my hook in, just to kind of catch that and line it up a little straighter so it's camouflaged in the contrast color 4 stitches from the previous row. So crochet over your contrast color 3 yarn here, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pull contrast color yarn, contrast color 2 over to where we need it. Yarn over, oops, I accidentally finished this stitch. Gotta go back and yarn over with contrast color 2 to finish that last stitch of contrast color 3. And same thing again, I'm going to catch this little yarn before I stick my hook into that stitch to pull that little carried yarn up to line up and kind of hide right there. And just crochet over that carried yarn. And I'm not going to finish that stitch. I'm going to pull over contrast color 1 right to where I need it. And repeat. I'm going to nudge this little thing under my hook basically before I crochet into that stitch. Just get a really clean color transition there. And I should say this piece is reversible. This color work here is reversible on our poncho. We're not carrying anything. All the tails you see on the back are just the tails from where we joined this, and we'll weave those in. It's not a stranded kind of color work. So after we worked our 3 contrast color 1 stitches, now we're going to pull the main color over to where we need it. And you can give that back yarn a little tug if things look a little loosey-goosey. Catch that little bit of yarn there and work all the way out to the rest of the row in main color. So for the extra small to medium size, that'll be 30 stitches. For the large to extra large, that will be 38 stitches. For the 2x to 3x, that will be 44 stitches. And for the 4x to 5x, that will be 50 stitches. So crochet out to finish round 2, and I'm going to zoom back out a little bit to show you how I'm going to turn it this way so we can undo that tangle of yarns that we have going on here. You know, this color work, it's worth it. It's really worth it to get this kind of impact. I love a color changing yarn, but sometimes you can't beat the look of this style of color work, which you know, I like to call it tapestry crochet. I don't know, some people call it intarsia, but I feel like that's mainly when you're carrying the yarn throughout the project. So it's really tapestry crochet. And if this is moving too fast for you, take a look at my book, Crochet Southwest Spirit. Back in the technique section at the back of the book, there is a full photo tutorial on how I like to do tapestry crochet. Southwestern tapestry is kind of like my favorite thing ever. So there's one tutorial for if you want to work with 2 yarns and carry one of the yarns, carry both yarns throughout the whole project, which I like to do for like cake yarns, self-striping yarns, or if I'm only working with 2 colors in one project. And then there's a tutorial for this kind of intarsia style of crochet where each section of color is worked from a separate little ball of yarn. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 2, of the color work section. And we can see our yarns are still tangled. So last time we took the left side and sent it over to the right. This time we're going to flip it the other way around. And now our yarns are all kind of in the same order they were. They're all straightened back out again. A couple of them may have rolled us away, but overall we are not too tangled. And you can kind of see the color work starting to emerge here. Now I'm noticing that my dragonfly and my main color here, that's called Blueprint, don't have too much contrast with each other, but I'm okay with that. So row 3, just a lot like row 2. We'll keep on moving on with this color work pattern. Okay, before we start row 3, I finally got my act together and put my balls of yarn in this little brass tray to show you. This really does help keep things from tangling. Just line them up in the order that they are used in the row, and we'll do that kind of flip one way, flip the other, and they won't tangle. You can also use, sometimes I use like a flat tray like this, like a serving tray or a little basket. And I like to keep the extra balls of yarn in a different place, not in the same one, so those don't tangle in together. So let's get started with row 3. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And row 3 is going to be kind of the same as these other two. We're going to keep going with the pattern inward here of our little arrow. So we are going to crochet over that first CC1 group of 3 stitches there. So for the extra small to medium size, we're going to work 33 stitches before changing colors. For the large to extra large, we're going to work 41 stitches before changing colors. For the 2x to 3x, we're going to work 47 stitches in the main color here. And for the 4x to 5x size, we're going to work 53 stitches. So keeping going with our main color here. Start with a chain 3 or chainless starting double crochet, whatever you want. And work those stitches. Keep going until you get have crocheted over the top of those first 3 contrast color 1 stitches. So now that I have all my balls of yarn organized here, which I realize I should have showed you in the beginning, I have to say, I noticed I was crocheting another one of these sweaters a few days ago, another one in a different color. That's the next size up. My size, the large, extra large size. And I was not keeping the balls of yarn organized at all. They were just all dangling off the edge of my project. I was sitting on the couch and crocheting. And you know what? Sometimes it's great to just go with the flow like that and not worry about like keeping things organized on a tray or in a basket. But, you know, eventually you're going to have to stop and untangle, and maybe that's a nice break. So you do your color work how you feel. Don't feel like you need to keep them in a straight little line or anything. If you're more of a go with the flow kind of crocheter, go with the flow and just stop to untangle every so often. You know, there's some people that really love to wind yarn and untangle. I'm not one of them. I get kind of bored with it, but and my friend Jenny McKim, shout out to Jenny, who she's the one who inspired me to learn how to crochet. I saw her doing it when we both lived in Louisville, Kentucky, and that's how I wanted to learn. And one day she came over, we were crocheting, and she went through my whole yarn basket, wound everything up all neatly, all the stuff that was kind of falling out of yarn wrappers like this, and it's incredible. And she says it's just like soothing. It's like problem solving. You get to the end and it's pretty and you have a beautiful yarn basket. So thank you, Jenny, if you're watching. All right, so I'm working my last 3 stitches here because I'm working the smallest size, so I need 33 stitches. And I'm going to carry this contrast color 1 yarn over 3 stitches by laying it on top of the work there and just holding it against that row and working these last couple stitches. Okay, here's our last stitch of main color. So I'm going to work it until that last yarn over. I'm going to move the main color yarn to the side, still on the tray over there. And I'm going to pick up my contrast color 1, which is this teal color here, to finish that last stitch of the last main color stitch. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to carry over my contrast color 2, lay it over on top of the row like that, and just crochet around it. Oops. 3 stitches in contrast color 1. Okay, and then the same thing, I'm not going to finish that last stitch with contrast color 1. I'm going to move this ball of yarn to the side. And pick up contrast color 2, my spice orange color here, to finish that stitch. Now carry over contrast color 3 yarn in the same way and work 3 stitches in contrast color 2. Okay, and make sure my balls of yarn are organized here. And pick up contrast color 3. And now I'm going to carry over my contrast color 4, 3 stitches. Just kind of pull it taut, but not too tight as you carry that yarn over. And work 3 stitches in contrast color 3 here. Then we'll pick up contrast color 4 to finish that last stitch of contrast color 3. Now we're getting to a point here where we're going to work 3 contrast color 4 stitches. So we don't need this main color yarn anymore. So we can cut that, since we're just going to cover that up and we're not carrying this main color yarn. Leave yourself a nice little tail, 6 to 8 inches, and you can just cut that yarn. And at that point, I like to remove it from my tray so it's not sitting there getting tangled. So we'll weave that one in later. You can carry it over if you want to. I'm not going to carry it. So we're going to work 4 contrast color 4 stitches. 3 contrast color 4 stitches. Hopefully I said that right. Okay, and now we're just going to, we get to cut this one too, cut this string off, because we finished our first little arch here of contrast color 4 stitches. We're not gonna need this one anymore. So we can cut that string, get rid of that little ball of yarn. We'll weave that in later. And I'm gonna pick up my contrast color 3 and work 3 stitches, crocheting over where we're pulling it over to where we need it. Just crochet over that little bit. Okay, and I'm not going to finish that yet. I'm going to pick up contrast color 2, and here's where we're going to pick up the color. So we're going to carry it over to where we need it, and then we're also going to grab this little thing, push it over before we stick the hook in here to help that color transition be really clean. So we're carrying the contrast color 2 over. We're catching that little bit of contrast color 3 before we stick our hook into that first stitch. And there's our first stitch. We're going to work 3 stitches of this color, contrast color 2, and then we're going to pull our contrast color 1 over to where we need it. And same thing, 3 stitches. We're going to catch that little tail. You don't have to, but that's just how I do it. You can feel free to get your own style going here. And there's our 3rd stitch of contrast color 1. And now we're going to pull our main color over to where we need it. Finish that last contrast color 1 stitch. And just double crochet the rest of the way back out to the edge here. So 33 main color stitches for the extra small to medium size. 41 main color stitches for the large to extra large size. 47 stitches for the 2x to 3x size, or 53 stitches for the 4x to 5x size. So it's nice, you know, when you get a chance, like in this row, we were able to cut off 2 of those balls that were hanging off the project. That's always great, and I do recommend that you cut those whenever you see that you're not going to be using that ball of yarn anymore, just to keep the number of balls you're dealing with down, to avoid tangles, that kind of thing. And then whenever you need to add a new color in a row, like we're going to have to in a few more rows here, then you have that little ball of yarn at the ready to add back in whenever, because our arrow pattern is going to kind of expand out as it expands up to the midline of this poncho front. So we're going to be having, at one point, like 4 little sections of each color going. So we're just warming up. We're just warming up. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 3, and I'm going to turn my work to start row 4, and I'm going to turn the left side of the work over to the right, so my yarns are all going to cross. Don't panic, we got a little kind of yarns crossing a little bit here. But don't worry, next time we're going to flip it back the other way and those will uncross. So let's start row 4. For row 4, we're going to kind of continue this pattern that we've got going on, and we're going to work main color stitches until we cover those top, the first 3 contrast color 1 stitches there. So for the extra small to medium size, we're going to work 36 main color stitches, all double crochet. For the large to extra large size, we are going to work 44 stitches. For the 2x to 3x size, we will work 50 stitches. And for the 4x to 5x size, we will work 56 stitches, all in the main color, before we pick up that contrast color 1. So row 4 and 5 are a lot like row 3. We're just going to keep kind of bringing our pyramid in here to a point. And then after that, row 6 is where we're going to add in a little more color, and the pattern's going to kind of change. But rows 4 and 5 here, pretty easy sailing. You can expect what to do now that you got the first 3 color work rows down. And this part 2 here, this color work section, this is really the most challenging part of the whole poncho. So if you're getting frustrated with this, with how your color changes look, don't worry. If you leave yourself long tails, sometimes that allows you to like fill in a little gap here or there. Whenever you're weaving in the tails, if one stitch is looking kind of loose, sometimes you can just pick it up with your sewing needle while you're weaving in your ends and kind of tighten things up. Plus, when you're wearing the sweater, nobody's looking really that close. Anyways, just kind of enjoy it. Okay, so I'm coming to my last 3 main color stitches here, and I'm going to carry this contrast color 1 yarn by laying it over the top of the contrast color stitches from the previous row. I'm going to crochet around it for my last 3 main color stitches. And drop that main color yarn, pick up the contrast color yarn, and we're going to work 3 stitches in this contrast color 1, and we're going to carry over contrast color 2 3 stitches. Okay, and to finish that last contrast color 1 stitch, I'm going to pick up contrast color 2, and I'm going to carry over contrast color 3 a little bit. I like to give it just a gentle little tug when I'm pulling it flat against the work to carry it. Okay, now I'm going to drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 3, and now I'm going to work 3 contrast color 3 stitches, and I get to cut this contrast color 4 yarn. Leave yourself a nice long tail. Take that ball out of the mix, and we'll weave in that tail later. I'm going to work 3 contrast color 3 stitches. I'm not going to carry that yarn. I'll weave it in later. And I'm going to work those 3 contrast color 3 stitches. Now we get to cut this ball too, because we don't need any more contrast color 3. We can go ahead and cut that. Get rid of that ball of yarn out of the mix. We'll add it back in row 6. Okay, and now I'm going to pull over. Okay, I'm pulling over contrast color 2. I'm working 3 stitches in contrast color 2. And then I'll pull contrast color 1 over to where I need it. Finish that last contrast color 2 stitch. Oops, let's try that again. I grab that little carried yarn as I work that first stitch in contrast color 1 and crochet around that. Okay, and then smooth sailing from here on out. We're going to pick up our main color again and just double crochet the rest of the row. Grab that little yarn tag there. Okay, so I'm going to work 36 double crochet stitches for the extra small to medium size, 44 double crochet stitches in the main color for the large to extra large size, 50 double crochet stitches in the main color for the 2x to 3x size, and 56 stitches for the 4x to 5x size. So just crochet the rest of the row, and then we're going to flip our work the opposite way. to start row 5. All right, coming to my last few stitches of row 4. And instead of turning my work from left to right, I'm going to turn it back the other way. I'm going to bring the right side over to the left. And pick up my loop here. Okay, so now to start row 5, you could guess the pattern here. We're going to double crochet in the main color until we worked over the top of these first 3 contrast color 1 stitches. We're just going to keep moving our pyramid on in here. So we're going to start with 39 double crochet stitches in the main color for the extra small to medium size, which is what I'm making here. 47 double crochet stitches for the large to extra large size. 53 double crochet stitches for the 2x to 3x size, or 59 double crochet stitches for the 4x to 5x size. So crocheting back into the middle. I realize this may not even be the best camera angle here. I'm still an amateur on these videos. Thanks for sticking with me, because it's not my forte. And I do love to crochet, so I hope you're enjoying crocheting along with me. Okay, we're coming to our last few stitches of main color yarn here, and I'm going to carry over the contrast color yarn just like we've been doing by crocheting over it for these 3 stitches. Okay, and then I'm going to drop the main color yarn, pick up contrast color 1 that we've been carrying, and work 3 stitches. And meanwhile, I'm going to carry contrast color 2 over 3 stitches. Okay, now I'm going to drop my contrast color 1. And I have 2 balls of contrast, well, now we don't need this contrast color 3 anymore. We're done with the yellow, so we can cut that. Get that ball out of the mix. And normally I would just pick up this strand I had been carrying here of the contrast color 2, but that's running out. I'm at the end of the ball over there. So I'm going to grab this contrast color 2 here and just work 3 stitches. And I am getting to an area, do you see where it's like a little bit loose here? You just kind of give that a little gentle tug here, and that can help tighten that up. Okay, I worked 3 contrast color 2 stitches, and now I'm going right back to contrast color 1. I'm going to pick up this little yarn tail here, crochet over that contrast color 1 for 3 stitches. And I'm going to pick up the main color yarn and crochet the rest of the way out to the end of the row. And as you can see, now we're coming to our top of our little pyramid here. You can cut this yarn now, your contrast color 2. You're not going to need that anymore. And if you want to, you can cut one of your contrast color 1s because you're only going to need one of those balls of yarn in the next row, right there in particular. But I'm going to wait till the next row to do that. So I'm going to crochet out the rest of the row here in main color yarn. So for the extra small to medium size, we will have 39 stitches in the main color yarn. For the extra large, extra large size, we're going to have 47 stitches main color yarn. For the 2x to 3x size, we'll have 53 stitches. And the 4x to 5x size will have 59 stitches in the main color yarn. So now we only have 4 balls of yarn attached to our project. It's relatively peaceful, not too much to get tangled there. So that's one of the things I love about this kind of color work in particular is that, yeah, it does get a little crazy at times with, you know, juggling a lot of balls of yarn at once, but then it's only for a row or 2. And if it gets tangled, no worries, because you're going to be able to cut off some of those balls of yarn as you finish each section of color, and that kind of helps untangle as it is, just pulling the ball of yarn out. Sometimes you just have to follow it back to follow it back from your project to figure out which ball it is, but then you get to take it out, and it's kind of a little bit of a little breath of fresh air here. So we're coming to the end of row 5, and we're going to start row 6. In row 6, we're going to add more yarn colors in. So if you haven't wound your balls of contrast color into separate little bits now, now's a good time. So I'm going to turn my work from the left side to the right and start row 6. So row 6, we have a little bit of a change in our pattern. We are going to finish this little pyramid with a block of 3 double crochet stitches in that contrast color 1. But at the same time, we're going to start a new little bit of an arrow, or bit of a feather here. That looks just like this. So we're basically going to build another one of these right here on top of it at the same time, just to make our little feather pattern. So we're going to start out with plain main color stitches here. For the extra small to medium size, we're going to work 24 main color stitches. For the large to extra large size, we'll work 32 main color stitches. For the 2x to 3x size, we'll work 38 main color stitches. And for the 4x to 5x size, we will work 44 main color stitches. So a bit of a change. Adding in our kind of next little layer of feather here. I really love feathers. I just have a lot of reverence for them. Here in Southwest Colorado, I live close to a place called Vallecito, Lake Vallecito. It's like one little valley over. That means little valley in Spanish. And it is a huge, beautiful lake here. It's the gateway to the Waimanuche Wilderness where I live. And there are always big, beautiful birds over the lake. Yesterday, my husband and I went on a walk over there, and we saw a giant pair of eagles, bald eagles, nesting in a tree. There's always a lot of osprey and turkeys and geese. So I always keep my eye out when I'm down at Vallecito for a feather, a beautiful feather. And I don't pick them up and bring them home. I just enjoy them where they lay. Okay, so I'm going to count how many stitches I have here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Well, I was talking about Vallecito. I got a little ahead of myself here. If you're ever in Southwest Colorado, go check it out. It's really, really beautiful mountains, just a mountain lake. Okay, so 24 stitches are my main color for my small size I'm making here. And now we are going to add in another ball of contrast color 1. So for me, that's my darkest color here. I'm going to bring in another color into the mix and just yarn over with that color to finish the last stitch, last main color stitch. We're going to work 3 contrast color 1 stitches. And just as before, we're not going to finish that one. I just crocheted over my tail out of habit there. And now we're going to add another ball of contrast color 2. For me, that's this spice color of my Lion Brand Pima Cotton. So we're going to yarn over with that to finish that contrast color 1 stitch. And we're going to drop the contrast color 1 and just work 3 stitches in contrast color 2. Okay, now we're going to drop contrast color 2 and add in a ball of contrast color 3. And we're going to yarn over with contrast color 3 to finish that last contrast color 2 stitch. And we're going to work 3 stitches in contrast color 3. And I'm going to grab a ball of contrast color 4 and add that in. Drop the contrast color 3 and just yarn over with contrast color 4. And we're going to work 3 stitches. Okay, there's our 3rd stitch. I'm not going to finish it yet. Now I'm going to grab a ball of main color yarn and add that in. I can find the end of it. Okay. And we're going to work 6 main color stitches. So yarn over with the main color to finish that last stitch of the contrast color 4. And we're going to work 6 stitches. The first 3 of these are going to be over, you're working into main color stitches. And then the next 3 main color stitches here, we're going to carry over our contrast color 1. We need it just a little bit more. So this is my 4th main color stitch here. Working over that contrast color 1. There's the 5th stitch, and there's the 6th main color stitch. Now I'm going to drop the main color and pick up my contrast color 1, and I'm going to work 3 stitches. Okay, and we are done with our contrast color 1 for this little section. So I have two balls of contrast color 1 still hanging off here that we don't need anymore, so I'm going to cut both of these. Leave yourself a nice long tail. And I'm going to take those out of the mix. And to finish this last contrast color 1 stitch, I know it looks a little wild with all these tails hanging off. Well, you can clean that up later. I mean, you can weave them in as you go, of course. That's probably the responsible thing to do, but even though it's a lot of tails, it's kind of not that much surface area in the end here. It's not like too tedious for this project. Okay, so now we're gonna work 6 stitches in this main color yarn. So there's 4, 5, and 6. So we're doing the mirror image here. So since we've got this little section here of contrast color 4, 3, 2, 1, we're going to do that same thing over here and just mirror image. So I'm going to grab a ball of contrast color 4 and complete that 6th main color stitch by yarning over with contrast color 4 and work 3 stitches contrast color 4. Okay, now we're going to pick up contrast color 3 and work 3 stitches. Okay, and now we'll pick up contrast color 2. And same thing, 3 stitches. Okay, now we're going to pick up contrast color 4. And work contrast color 1, sorry. Contrast color 1, we're going to work 3 stitches, contrast color 1. Okay, so now we've got our kind of row looking good, mirror image, and we are just going to crochet out the rest of this row with main color yarn. And I need to add in a new ball here of contrast color, of our main color. Unfortunately, I do have a tangle. I'll figure that out later. Okay, so for the extra small to medium size, you'll work the last 24 stitches in the main color. For the large to extra large size, you'll work the last 32 stitches in the main color. For the 2x to 3x size, that's 38 stitches main color, and for the 4x to 5x size, work 44 stitches in the main color yarn to finish row 6. So hopefully you're getting the hang of it. Now the next rows 7 and 8 are gonna kind of follow this same pattern of building this little pyramid here, just like we did in rows, the first few color work rows, I guess rows 1 to 5. Gonna kind of follow that same pattern. So I've been crocheting over that tail, but I'm gonna drop it just to finish the rest of the row here. And we're getting ready to turn our work and start row 7. And honestly, I can't remember which one I flipped my work last time, but just choose a direction. Try to do the opposite one next time. Okay, so to start row 7, we are going to crochet with the main color all along the row until we work over those first 3 contrast color 1 stitches. Then we're going to pick contrast color 1 up. So we're going to work the first 27 stitches for the extra small to medium size. You can start with a chain 3 or chainless starting double crochet, whatever you want. So 27 main color stitches for the extra small to medium size, 35 main color stitches for the large to extra large size, 41 main color stitches for the 2x to 3x size, or 47 for the 4x to 5x size. So that'll bring you right over the top of those first 3 contrast color stitches over there. I can already see this is going to be one of those rows where my last main color stitch is really shrimpy for some reason. Got to pay attention not to miss that last little stitch here. Sometimes things just get a little tight. I tend to be a tight tension kind of crocheter, so it happens to me pretty frequently. Okay, so for my last 3 main color stitches, I'm going to be crocheting over this contrast color 1 stitches here. And my last main color stitch, I'm going to drop the main color yarn and pick up contrast color 1, and work 3 stitches. Get the yarn tail out of the way. And while I'm working these 3 stitches, I'm going to carry contrast color 2 over 3 stitches. Okay, and for my last stitch, I'm going to drop contrast color 1, pick up contrast color 2, and work over this contrast color 3 section, carrying that contrast color 3 over 3 stitches. I'm going to drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 3, and work over these 3 contrast color 4 stitches, carrying that yarn 3 stitches here. Now I'm going to drop contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 4, and I'm going to work 3 stitches. I'm going to work over these main color stitches here and carry that main color yarn over 3 stitches. Okay, now I'm going to work 9 stitches in the main color yarn here. So we're going to be working the first 3 of them over this main color. We're going to be working the next 3 of them here, and we're going to be working the next 3 over here. So we are not going to need this main color yarn anymore, and we can cut that off and follow that ball back to its source here to see where that's coming from. A little tricky with this one. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to work my 9 main color stitches right in the center of our motif here. Sometimes it helps to give things just a little tug before you crochet over them. I also like to give these ends a little bit of a tug right before I weave them in. So that was 6 main color stitches, 7, 8, and 9. So to finish that last main color stitch, I'm going to pick up this contrast color 4 yarn over here and work 3 stitches. Crocheting over and around those carried yarn there. Now I'm going to drop contrast color 4 and pick up contrast color 3. And optional, but I'm going to stick my hook under this little tab of yarn before I go into the stitch there. So 3 stitches in contrast color 3. I'm going to drop contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 2, carry it over to where I need it, yarn over to finish that last contrast color 3 stitch. It's looking a little loosey-goosey. I'm going to work 3 contrast color 2 stitches. I'm going to drop contrast color 2 and pick up contrast color 1. Carry it over to where I need it, yarn over to finish that stitch, and I'm going to work 3 contrast color 1 stitches. Okay, I'm going to drop contrast color 1, pick up the main color, yarn over to finish that contrast color 1 stitch, and crochet the rest of the row in main color yarn. So if you're making the extra small to medium size, that'll be 27 stitches in the main color yarn. If you're making the large to extra large size, that'll be 35 stitches in the main color yarn. If you're making the 2x to 3x size, that'll be 41 main color stitches. And for the 4x to 5x size, that'll be 47 main color stitches. Okay, so we finished row 7. I'm going to turn my work from left to right, kind of the opposite from how I turned before. And we will get ready to start row 8. And at this point, you can just take a breath, fresh air, celebrate how far we've come. We're more than a quarter of the way done with the color work here, so congratulations for making it this far. And if you've made it this far, you can surely make it all the way with this sweater. So let's start row 8. We are going to crochet in the main color yarn until we reach the first 3 of these contrast color 1 stitches, and we're going to work until we've covered those 3. Then we'll pick up contrast color 1 and kind of continue the pattern. So for the extra small to medium size, we're going to work 30 stitches in the main color yarn. For the large to extra large size, we will work 38 stitches in the main color yarn. For the 2x to 3x size, we'll work 44 stitches, and for the 4x to 5x size, we'll work 50 stitches in the main color yarn. No surprises going on in row 8, just following that same pattern of moving each color over by 3 stitches to make our little feather shape. Okay, coming to our last few main color stitches. I'm going to carry the contrast color 1 yarn over 3 stitches by laying it on top of the work and crocheting around it for my last 3 main color stitches. And I do kind of like to pull it in front, a little bit to the front, just with my crochet style. That helps keep it hidden rather than if I let it fall to the back. So we're going to drop the main color, pick up contrast color 1 to finish the last main color stitch. We're going to bring contrast color 2 over the top of the work so we can carry it for 3 stitches while we work 3 stitches in contrast color 1. Now we're going to drop contrast color 1, pick up contrast color 2, and work 3 stitches in contrast color 2. Okay, now we can drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 3, and we're going to work 3 stitches while we carry contrast color 4 over by crocheting over it. Now we're going to drop contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 4, and we're going to carry the main color over by 3 stitches as we work 3 stitches in contrast color 4. Okay, we're dropping contrast color 4, picking up the main color, work 3 stitches in the main color. Okay, now we're kind of at our center of our motif. We're going to drop the main color and pull contrast color 4 over to where we need it here. Work 3 stitches, contrast color 4. Sometimes when the balls get really light, like this little tiny one, they tend to jump around. They jump out of their the little tray I'm using here. Okay, so I should not have finished that stitch. Now we can drop contrast color 4 and pick up contrast color 3 to finish that last stitch of contrast color 4. Now we're going to work 3 stitches in contrast color 3, working over that yarn we carried over to kind of hide it. Now we will pick up contrast color 2, drop contrast color 3, and work 3 stitches, catching that little tag if you want to, and then crocheting over the yarn we just pulled over. Now drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 1, and work 3 stitches. Okay, now we can drop contrast color 1, pick up the main color, finish that last stitch of contrast color 1, and now we're just going to crochet the rest of the row with the main color. So for the extra small to medium size, we will have 30 stitches in the main color yarn. For the large to XL size, we will have 38 stitches in the main color yarn. For the 2X to 3X size, we'll have 44 stitches. And for the 4X to 5X size, we will have 50 stitches to finish row 8. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 8, and I'm going to turn my work to start row 9, and at this point I like to take a little break to untangle my yarns that are currently tangled here, because we are going to add in more colors in this next row. So it helps to kind of get your balls of yarn aligned before you add any more craziness to the chaos that's going on. Maybe you have no chaos if you've been managing your yarn a little better than I have, but there's only so much attention you can give to it. So I just like to put the yarns back in the order in which I'm using them, and it just takes a minute. All right, now I'm ready to roll. So I'm gonna zoom back in and let's start row 9. So row 9, we're gonna start the same kind of way. We're gonna add in another little feather section here on each side of our existing feather sections. So we're gonna be adding more colors of yarn here and then still kind of finishing this little pyramid. So we're going to start out with 15 main color stitches for the extra small to medium size, 23 main color stitches for the large to extra large size, 29 main color stitches for the 2x to 3x size, or 35 main color stitches for the 4x to 5x size. Okay, let's see. Okay, here's my last main color stitch, and I'm going to set that ball aside and pick up a contrast color 1 ball of yarn. Add that on by yarning over with that contrast color 1 to finish the last main color stitch. And we're going to work 3 contrast color 1 stitches. Okay, and set that to the side. Now we're going to drop contrast color 1 and pick up contrast color 2. Yarn over with contrast color 2 to finish that last contrast color 1 stitch. And work 3 contrast color 2 stitches. Okay, then we're going to drop contrast color 2 and pick up contrast color 3. Yarn over with contrast color 3 to finish the last contrast color 2 stitch. And work 3 stitches in contrast color 3. Okay, drop contrast color 3 and pick up contrast color 4. Yarn over with contrast color 4 to finish that last contrast color 3 stitch, and work 3 contrast color 4 stitches. Okay, now we're going to drop contrast color 4 and pick up our main color yarn, and I'm going to have to get a new ball here. Add that into the mix. Yarn over with the main color to finish that last contrast color 4 stitch. And we're going to work 6 main color stitches. So the first 3 are just on top of main color stitches. And then after that, we're going to be working over contrast color 1 stitches, and we're going to carry that yarn over so we can use it right here. So drop the main color, not drop the main color, pick up the contrast color 1 so that we can carry it while we work our last 3 main color stitches here. So I know I said that a little messed up here, but we have 6 main color stitches. Just make sure you carry that contrast color 1 for those last 3 of those. So drop the main color now and pick up contrast color 1, and we're going to work 3 contrast color 1 stitches while we carry contrast color 2 over. Okay. Now we're going to drop contrast color 1, pick up the contrast color 2 we've been carrying, and we're going to work 3 stitches while we carry contrast color 3 over 3 stitches. Okay, now I'm going to drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 3, and carry contrast color 4 over as we work 3 stitches in contrast color 3. Okay, now we're dropping contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 4, and we're right at the center of our motif. We're going to work 3 contrast color 4 stitches, and we can cut this main color yarn that's here. And just set it aside for a second because we're going to add it back in later in the same row here. So we'll work 3 contrast color 4 stitches. And now we've completed the contrast color 4 portion of our little arch here. We can cut both of these contrast color 4s off. Leave yourself a nice long tail and take those away. You're gonna have to add one right back in later here in the same row. Okay, so we're dropping contrast color 4, we're picking up contrast color 3, and we're working 3 stitches. Working over this yarn we're carried over here. Now drop contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 2, and we're going to work 3 stitches. Don't forget that little yarn tail if you want to, just to kind of scoop that up and bring it in line with the others. So 3 stitches in contrast color 2, drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 1, carry it over there, work 3 stitches, and we can drop contrast color 1, pick up our main color again, and we are going to work 6 stitches, just like we did over here. Crocheting around that main color yarn that we just carried over. And we're going to continue till we get 6 stitches here. Okay, there's my 6th main color stitch. Now we are going to add in contrast color 4. Pick that up and yarn over with it to finish that 6th main color stitch. And work 3 stitches in contrast color 4. So we're really just building the mirror image of that a little bit there. So drop contrast color 4, pick up contrast color 3. I'm sorry. This is a lot to keep straight. So we're going to work 3 stitches in contrast color 3. You drop contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 2, yarn over with it to finish that last contrast color 3 stitch, and work 3 stitches. We can drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 1, yarn over with it, finish that last contrast color 3 stitch and work 3 stitches. Okay, now we can drop contrast color 1 and pick that main color ball of yarn up that we just cut off from the middle over here, and we're going to add that back in on this end. Yarn over with it to finish that last contrast color 1 stitch and work the rest of the row in main color yarn. So for the extra small to medium size, this will be 15 stitches. For the large to extra large size, this will be 23 stitches in the main color. For the 2x to 3x size, you'll work 29 stitches in the main color yarn. And for the 4x to 5x size, you'll work 35 stitches in the main color yarn. I've been carrying that yarn tail. I'm just going to drop it and finish row 9. And I'm going to turn my work. Doesn't really matter which way, since I kind of just set them up before this row here. So now they're a little tangly. I'm going to have to flip the other way next time. Okay, so let's get ready for row 10. In row 10, it's going to follow kind of the same pattern as row 9 here. We're going to crochet in our main color yarn until we've crocheted over the top of those contrast color 1 stitches here. So for the extra small to medium size, we're going to work 18 stitches in the main color yarn. For the large to extra large size, we're going to work 26 stitches in the main color yarn. For the 2x to 3x size, we'll work 32 stitches in the main color yarn. And for the 4x to 5x size, we will work 38 stitches in the main color yarn. So no surprises for row 10. Keep maintaining this pattern of building these little feather shapes, just everything moving over 3 stitches. So when you get to your last 3 main color stitches, make sure you're not missing a small one there. We're going to carry this contrast color 1 yarn over 3 stitches as we're crocheting our last 3 main color stitches. Now we can drop the main color yarn, pick up contrast color 1, and we're going to work 3 stitches in contrast color 1 while we carry contrast color 2 over 3 stitches. Now we can drop contrast color 1, pick up contrast color 2, and we're going to work 3 stitches in contrast color 2 while we carry contrast color 3 over 3 stitches. Now drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 3, and we're going to work 3 stitches while we crochet over contrast color 4 here and carry that along with us. Okay, drop contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 4, and we're going to work 3 contrast color 4 stitches while we carry our main color. Okay, now we're going to drop contrast color 4, pick up our main color yarn, and we're going to work 6 main color stitches. So work your first 3, and then after that make sure that you carry this contrast color 1 over by 3 stitches as you work number 4, 5, and 6 here. Okay, now we can drop the main color and pick up contrast color 1. We're going to work 3 stitches while we crochet over contrast color 2 and carry that yarn. Now drop contrast color 1, pick up contrast color 2, and work 3 stitches while we crochet over contrast color 3. Okay, now we're going to drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 3, and we are going to tighten that up just a bit and work 3 contrast color 3 stitches. Okay, so now we're at the kind of top of our pyramid here where we've completed the part of the shape that requires these contrast color 3 balls. So we're going to cut those, leave ourselves nice long tails. One of them already rolled off the table. And the other one I'm going to fish out here. Okay, now we're going to drop contrast color 3 and pick up contrast color 2 from over here. Carry the yarn over to where we need it and work 3 contrast color 2 stitches. We're going to drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 1, and work 3 stitches. Okay, now we're dropping contrast color 1 and picking up our main color yarn. And we're going to work 6 stitches. And for some reason that ball of yarn is very tight. Sometimes you just have to unwind one a bit. Pulling from the outside of the ball instead of the inside, I guess. Okay, so here's my 4th stitch of main color, 5th stitch, and 6th stitch. Okay, now we can drop the main color yarn And we're going to pick up this contrast color 4, pull it over to where we need it over here, and crochet over these next 3 stitches. Okay, drop contrast color 4, pick up contrast color 3. Sorry, we're picking up contrast color 3, and we're working 3 stitches. There is no contrast color 5. I don't know what I'm talking about. 4 is enough colors, don't we agree? Okay. We'll finish those 3 stitches. We'll drop contrast color 3. We'll pick up contrast color 2 and work 3 stitches. And then we'll drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 1, and work 3 stitches. Okay, and then we'll drop contrast color 1 and pick up the main color yarn and crochet for the rest of the row in main color. So for the extra small to medium size, that will be 18 double crochet stitches in the main color. For the large to extra large size, that'll be 26 stitches. 32 stitches for the 2x to 3x size, or 38 stitches for the 4x to 5x size. And then we'll be done with row 10. And row 11, we're going to change things up one more time. Adding a few more balls of yarn into this mix, just for fun. And we've got 3 rows. Rows 11, 12, and 13 have kind of a lot of colors going on because we're going to add in one more section here and here. So we'll have this section of color, this section of color, and then this section of color in the middle. So we are going to add in more yarns over here. Get ready. So I know this time I need to flip my yarn back this way to untangle a bit. It still looks a little dangly up in this area. We got some yarn tails sticking out, but overall it's looking pretty good. So let's zoom back in and start row 11. So row 11 is not going to start with very many main color stitches here. For the extra small to medium size, we're going to work just 3 little double crochet stitches. For the large to extra large size, we're going to work 11 double crochet stitches. For the 2x to 3x size, we'll work 17 double crochet stitches. And for the 4x to 5x size, we'll work 23 double crochet stitches. So now we're going to add in some contrast color 1. We're going to yarn over with it to finish the last main color stitch. And we're going to work 3 stitches in contrast color 1. Okay, we're going to drop contrast color 1 and pick up contrast color 2. Yarn over with that to finish that last contrast color 1 stitch and work 3 stitches. Okay, drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 3, yarn over with it to finish that last contrast color 2 stitch, work 3 stitches, and we can drop contrast color 3 and pick up contrast color 4. And we'll yarn over with that to finish that last contrast color 3 stitch. Now, this is why in the beginning of the pattern, I think I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, it's good to divide your contrast colors and the main color into several different balls so that you can just pick one up and add it right when you need it. Okay, so now we've got that first little color section finished. And we're going to work 6 stitches in main color yarn here. So let me find some main color. And add that in. We're going to yarn over with this main color to finish that last contrast color 4 stitch and work 6 stitches. Now the first 3 of those stitches are over main color yarn, and then for the second 3 stitches, you're going to carry that contrast color 1 yarn over. For 3 stitches. Okay, now we can drop the main color yarn, pick up contrast color 1, work 3 stitches. And right now in this row, I believe we are at the peak of how many colors we're going to have attached at once. This is the most, the maximum. So congrats for making it this far. You're doing great. Let's drop contrast color 1, pick up contrast color 2, and we're going to work 3 stitches here while we carry over contrast color 3 for 3 stitches. Now drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 3, and we're going to work 3 stitches while we carry contrast color 4. Now we're going to drop contrast color 3 and pick up contrast color 4 here. And work 3 stitches. Okay, now we're going to drop contrast color 4 and we're going to work 6 stitches in the main color. The first 3 are over main color stitches, and the next 3 will be over contrast color stitches, and we're going to carry this contrast color yarn, laying it on top there while we work stitches 4, 5, and 6 in our main color. Okay, now we're going to drop the main color, pick up the contrast color 1 here, yarn over with it to finish that main color stitch, and we're going to carry contrast color 2 while we crochet with contrast color 1 for 3 stitches. Now drop contrast color 1, we're going to pick up contrast color 2 and work 3 stitches. And now we've come to the end in the center here of the contrast color 2 section. So I have 2 balls of contrast color 2 still attached. I'm going to get rid of those. And where was this one coming from? Well, I cut one and now I don't know where the end is. Let's see. Okay, I got it. It really is. I've learned from experience you have to pull those. After you cut the yarn, don't just leave the ball of yarn there to get tangled. Let it go. Just pull it out. Save yourself a lot of trouble. So now we're going to pull the contrast color 1 over, and we're going to work 3 stitches in contrast color 1. And we're going to drop contrast color 1 and pick up the main color, work 6 stitches in the main color yarn here. Okay. we're ready to work on this little section of the feather, and we're going to pull over contrast color 4 to where we need it here and work 3 stitches. Now drop contrast color 4, pick up contrast color 3, and work 3 stitches. Now drop contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 2, and work 3 stitches. And I should say, when you're cutting your yarn balls for color work here and cutting them off, don't throw away even the tiny little scraps here, because we're going to make tassels in part 4 where you only need just tiny little amounts of yarn. So save every little bit, waste not, want not. We're going to pull over contrast color 1 and work 3 stitches. Okay, now we're going to pick up main color yarn, drop contrast color 1, and we're going to work 6 stitches. Okay, and then our last little section to add more, so we're going to create this mirror image of this little bit we made in the beginning of the row. So we are going to, after those 6 main color stitches, we're going to add in some contrast color 4. Yarn over with it to finish that 6th main color stitch. Work 3 stitches. Now drop contrast color 4 and pick up contrast color 3. Which I had to make myself another little ball here. I had it all organized in the beginning, but then I started making 2 sweaters at once and I got a little disorganized. Okay, we're going to work 3 stitches in contrast color 3. We're going to drop contrast color 3 and find some contrast color 2. And yarn over with the contrast color 2 to finish that last contrast color 3 stitch. We're going to work 3 stitches of contrast color 2. I'm going to drop contrast color 2 and pick up contrast color 1. Yarn over with that to finish that last contrast color 2 stitch. Work 3 stitches. And finally, we are going to work all the way to the rest of the row, which isn't very far here, in the main color yarn. So find some main color, yarn over with that main color yarn to finish the last contrast color stitch. And you'll work the last 3 stitches in main color yarn for the extra small to medium size, 11 stitches for the large to extra large size, 17 stitches for the 2x to 3x size, or 23 stitches for the 4x to 5x size. Okay, so that is it for row 11. And now that we got this basic pattern set up for row 11 as far as where our little pieces are, no surprises for row 12 or 13. We're just going to kind of keep moving each section of color in the same direction it's already going. And then after row 13, we just mirror image back out, back down. So let's start row 12. We are going to work main color double crochet stitches until we've covered these first 3 contrast color stitches. So for the extra small to medium size, that is 6 double crochet stitches with the main color. For the large to extra large size, work 14 stitches. For the 2x to 3x size, you'll work 20 stitches in the main color yarn, and for the 4x, 5x size, work 26 stitches in the main color. So make sure for your last 3 stitches in the main color that you're carrying the contrast color 1 yarn over as you crochet over those stitches. Okay, then we can drop the main color yarn, pick up contrast color 1, and we'll work 3 stitches in contrast color 1 as we carry contrast color 2 over 3 stitches. Okay, I'll drop contrast color 1, pick up contrast color 2 by yarning over with it there. And now we will work 3 stitches in contrast color 2 while we crochet over contrast color 3. Okay, now drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 3, and we're going to work 3 stitches as we crochet over contrast color 4. Okay, we're going to drop contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 4, and we're going to carry the main color over as we work 3 stitches in contrast color 4. Now we're going to drop contrast color 4 and pick up our main color yarn here by yarning over with it and work 6 main color stitches. And after the first 3, we're going to carry over contrast color 1 while we work the second 3 stitches here. Okay, drop main color, pick up contrast color 1, work 3 stitches as you carry over contrast color 2. Okay, drop contrast color 1, pick up contrast color 2, work 3 stitches. Drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 3, and work 3 stitches as you crochet over contrast color 4. And we're going to drop contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 4, and work 3 stitches in contrast color 4 while we carry the main color over. Okay, we're going to drop contrast color 4, pick up the main color and work 6 stitches again. First 3 are over main color stitches, and then carry the contrast color 1 over here while you work the second half of those 6 main color stitches here. Okay, now we're going to drop the main color, pick up contrast color 1, and we're going to kind of finish the top of this little pyramid by working 3 contrast color 1 stitches. And now we're done with contrast color 1 for this kind of central little feather or arrow, so we can cut off these 2 balls of contrast color 1 that we have going here and pull them out. Set those aside till we need them. And now we're going to pick up the main color and work 6 stitches in the main color. Now the rest of the row is just a mirror image of the beginning of the row. So after these 6 stitches, we're going to drop the main color, pick up contrast color 1, yarn over with it, and work 3 stitches. Drop contrast color 4, pick up contrast color 3, work 3 stitches. Drop contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 2, and work 3 stitches. Drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 1, and work 3 stitches. Okay, now we're going to drop contrast color 1, pick up the main color, and work 6 stitches. Okay, so working those 6 main color stitches. And we're going to drop our main color and pick up contrast color 4 and work 3 stitches. Then we'll drop contrast color 4 and pick up contrast color 3 and work 3 stitches. Working over that carried yarn. Now we're going to drop contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 2, work 3 stitches. And we'll drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 1, and work 3 stitches. Now we'll drop contrast color 1, pick up our main color again, and finish out the row with all main color stitches. So for the extra small to medium size, that will be 6 main color stitches. For the large to extra large size, that will be 14 main color stitches. For the 2x to 3x size, that will be 20 main color stitches, and the 4x to 5x size will have 26 main color stitches. Okay, that's it for row 12. And now I'm going to show you row 13, which is the last kind of unique color work row here, because row 13 is the very center of this poncho front. And row 14, all to the rest of the poncho, is going to be a mirror image of this part here. So I know we got a lot of yarn tails hanging out, but we're going to work row 13, and then row 14 is the same as row 12. Row 15 is the same as row 11. Row 16 is the same as row 10. Row 17 is the same as row 9, and so on. And row 25 is going to be the same as this first color work row. And then after row 25, you will do the same thing you did in the beginning here and work this kind of plain section, repeating row 2. So however many rows you have to start your poncho out, that's how many rows you'll work at the end. So it's symmetrical left to right, symmetrical, back and forth, top to bottom. It's reversible. So let's start row 13. This is our last kind of unique color work row, and then we're just gonna keep going with a mirror image, so you can kind of follow the video back if you need to keep following the pattern here for row 14 to 25, but it's basically just working back out in that direction. So for row 13, we're going to start out working main color stitches for our extra small, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to work on top till we get those contrast color 1 section. So for the extra small to medium size, that's 9 main color stitches. For the large to extra large size, that is 17 main color stitches. For the 2x to 3x size, that's 23 main color stitches, and the 4x to 5x size will have 29 main color stitches. So make sure you carry over that contrast color 1 as you're working your last 3 main color stitches. Then you can drop you drop the main color, pick up contrast color 1, and work 3 stitches. And even though we're going to be mirror imaging back out, so don't cut this yarn yet, because we've got this little zig. We're going to zag back out on rows 14, 15, and 16. So don't cut that. Just keep it there. Pick up contrast color 2 and work 3 stitches. Then we can drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 3, and work 3 stitches. I should probably take the time to stop and untangle here because I got little balls kind of creeping up, but I'm gonna press on here. So we're gonna drop contrast color 3 and pick up contrast color 4, and we're gonna work 3 stitches while we carry over carry over the main color. Okay, now we can drop contrast color 4, and we're going to work 6 stitches in the main color. So the first 3 are over the main color, and then carry your contrast color 1 yarn over as you crochet those 4th, 5th, and 6th stitches in the main color. We're going to drop the main color yarn, pick up contrast color 1, and work 3 stitches while we carry over contrast color 2. We're going to drop contrast color 1, pick up contrast color 2, and work 3 stitches. Now drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 3, and work 3 stitches. Now drop contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 4, and work 3 stitches. And we're going to carry the main color yarn while we do that. Now we're going to drop contrast color 4 and pick up our main color yarn, and we're going to work 6 main color stitches plus 3, really, so 9 moving across here. Just the way the pattern is written, it says 6, as part of the little repeat we've just done here. They'll say to do this twice in the written pattern. And then we'll work 3 more. So we're coming up to the section where we already have a main color attached here. We can just cut that because we're not going to need it. And pull that one out of the tangle. And keep working till we have our 9 main color stitches here. So that was 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, now we can drop our main color and pick up the contrast color here, contrast color 4, and work 3 stitches. Now drop contrast color 4, pick up contrast color 3, and work 3 stitches. Drop contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 2, work 3 stitches. Okay, and we're going to drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 1, work 3 stitches. Now we'll drop contrast color 1, pick up our main color here, and work 6 stitches. Okay, now we'll drop our main color. I got some balls leaving my tray here. Drop our main color, pick up contrast color 4, and work 3 stitches. Drop contrast color 4, pick up contrast color 3, and work 3 stitches. Drop contrast color 3, pick up contrast color 2, work 3 stitches. Drop contrast color 2, pick up contrast color 1, and work 3 stitches. And then we can drop contrast color 1, pick up our main color, and finish the rest of our row here. So for the extra small to medium size, you will work 9 stitches in the main color. For the large to extra large size, you'll work 17 stitches in the main color. For the 2x to 3x size, you'll work 23 stitches in the main color. And for the 4x to 5x size, you'll work 29 stitches in the main color. So I'm going to finish row 13 here, and now I've showed you all the color brick rows. To move on to row 14, that's the same as row 12, the one we just did here. So I'm going to take a minute to undo my tangle here, because despite my best efforts, I've gotten a little tangled here, and I'm going to show you how I like to weave in the ends here, just to make sure that this stays nice and sturdy while you're washing and wearing it. So I'll be right back. Okay, now that I got my yarns all untangled and we're halfway done with the poncho front here, I'm going to show you how I weave in the ends on this. So you take one of the yarn ends and thread it onto a needle, and then I kind of just like to go back and forth across the little block of color a couple of times. So you kind of go all the way to the end of this little contrast color 4 block, and then go back this way. And then I like to go back one more time, just in that same direction. Sometimes I'll catch like this little loop, so I can go right back in that direction and it won't just pull right through. There, and if you want to, you can keep going back and forth till you run out of yarn, or you could even run it down across this little block if you want to, like, just kind of work it down through this stitch. If you really want it to be secure, if you're going to be like machine washing and drying. For me, I don't really wash my ponchos, like pieces like this, very often, you know, maybe once a year, and I just lay them flat to dry. I don't mess with the dryer on knit or crochet garments, but I don't know, you could run it through that next block and even run it back this way again if you want to. Just however you like to weave in your ends. Make sure you're going back and forth a couple times. I'm going to send this one back through one more time so it's really secure. And you can just trim your end. I like to weave in my ends here on a flat surface like this coffee table, and just do your best to kind of hide them in there just within that little section of color. So keep working on the color work rows here from 14 out to 25. It's just the same as what we just did here. And then add in the same number of rows you started with at the end. And next time I'll show you how to work part 3, which is our poncho back, which is basically a rectangle of the same size, but just plain. If you want color work on both sides of your poncho, the front and the back, you can just make this poncho front again. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you come back to join us for part 3. Thank you.